So guys, welcome to VRD Nation. This is the channel where we explain complex stock market concepts using practical real life examples, real life case studies, real life trades so that even the most complicated concepts can be easily explained and easily understood by absolute beginners. So if you are here for the first time, you are hearing me for the first time, do not forget to subscribe. So the topic that I'm going to talk about today is going to be one of the most important topics that you will learn as a trader. So if you are a serious trader or if you want to become a serious trader at some point of time in your life, you have to pay very close attention to what I'm going to discuss. And from my side, I will make everything practical, right? So I will take the example of the trades that I have taken today to explain you how the concept that I'm going to talk to you about will be applied in real life. But I want to start with a very interesting challenge which was given to me by a senior trader friend of mine, and I discussed this a couple of weeks back as well in a separate video also. But for those of you who have not watched that video, let me quickly summarize what the challenge was. So this challenge was given to me by a professional trader when I was an amateur trader, right? So this is more than a decade back, and the challenge was very simple. So this trader challenged me that we will start with the exact same capital and I will basically follow everything that you do. So if you want to do swing trading, I will do swing trading. If you want to do intraday trading, I can do intraday trading, and I will trade the same stocks that you trade. So whatever stock selection that you will do, I will follow the exact same stock. Not only that, I will also follow the same direction. So if you want to take a long trade and if you want me to take a short trade, I will take a short trade. And on top of that, I will have the same time of entry as you, and I will also have the same time of exit as you. And lastly, in order to make sure that there was no ambiguity, he said whatever choice of instrument that you have, you want to trade in futures, options or the cash segment, I am willing to trade in the same instrument. Now this challenge was very bizarre for me because I felt like I was in complete control of this challenge, right? Because I am the one who is deciding which stock to trade, whether to go long or to go short, whether it's an intraday trade or a swing trade. Right? So everything seemed to be in my control. But what ended up happening just after a month of this challenge was the professional trader was much more profitable than I was at the end of the month. So the puzzle that I have posed for you guys is why the difference between the performance of the professional trader and the amateur trader. So at the heart of this challenge, there was a secret weapon that the professional trader had, which I was not aware of. And because of that secret weapon, the professional trader ended up being more profitable than I did. So what is that secret weapon? Well, the secret weapon is position sizing. Now, some of you might be scratching your head that this doesn't really make a lot of sense because as I said in the beginning itself that both these traders started with the same capital. So if they are starting with the same capital, how is it possible that the position size of one person is different than the other person? Well, of course, this is possible. And not only it is possible, it is also the secret weapon that the professional traders deploy whenever they need it. So the way I was taking the trades is that I had 10 lakh rupees of capital. And in every trade, basically, I was more or less taking trades worth 10 lakh rupees. But what this professional trader was doing is that he was varying his position sizes based on certain criteria. So what ended up happening is that trades where I was profitable, he was also profitable, of course, because he was following the same stock, same direction, same instrument, same time of entry and exit. But in absolute terms, he was more profitable than I was because his position size in those trades was higher. So for example, let's say I took a trade on Reliance with 10 lakh rupees of capital and I made, let's say 1% of profit. I made 10,000 rupees in that one trade. But he would take 20 lakh or even 30 lakh rupees worth of trades. So with the same entry, same exit and same choice of instrument, his absolute profit in that trade would be, let's say 20,000 rupees or 30,000 rupees, right? So that is how he was making sure that in the successful trades, he had bigger position size. Now, what about the losing trades? Well, in the losing trades, what I observed was that his position size was smaller than my position size. So if I took, let's say a trade where I went wrong and I lost, let's say 1% on the trade. So on 10 lakh rupees, let's say I lost 10,000 rupees. He would have taken the same trade with a lower capital, a lower position size, let's say 5 lakh rupees. So his absolute loss in that trade would have been 5,000 rupees. So guys, do you see the trend here? By making sure that in the profitable trades, he had bigger position size and in the losing trades he had a lower position size, this very astute, very smart trader made sure that he was much more profitable than I was, even though I was the one who was deciding almost every important aspect of the trade. Now, after this challenge was over, when I really realized what was going on, it made a lasting impact on my trading style. And from that date till this date, I still use the technique that this trader taught me using this very interesting challenge. And I see the benefits on a day-to-day level. Now I know that even though I can tell you that position sizing was a secret weapon that this professional trader used to win this challenge, there are still some very important unanswered questions that might be going on in your mind. So question number one, how did the trader know that which trades were going to be profitable and which trades were going to be non-profitable? Secondly, what were the rules that he used to decide the position sizes? So of course, position sizing is actually a very vast field and not everything can be covered in this one particular video. So what I will recommend to all of you is that the very interesting book called Definitive Guide to Position Sizing by Van Tharp. He is a veteran trader in the US market and he has written this book which gives you a framework of how you should be thinking about risk and how you should be thinking about reward and how you should be sizing your position based on that. Now this book is a little bit technical in nature and it's also a little expensive. So I can understand that it's not possible for all of you to buy this book and learn from this book. But what we can do is that if you guys are serious about learning position sizing, the art of position sizing, give us feedback to this particular video, right? So give us likes, give us comments that you want to learn the tricks for sizing your position to make sure that you are making bigger profits and smaller losses. I need to know that you are serious, right? If you are serious, then we will definitely spend some more time and talk about this. But as of now, what I will do is I will share with you guys 3 very important rules pertaining to position sizing. So the rule number 1 is very simple, guys. Position sizing is inversely proportional to the risk. So if the risk in any particular trade is high, your position size should automatically go down. So if I take the example of these trades, it doesn't really matter how much money I have in my account. The way I size my position is not based on the capital that I have, but based on the risk that I am going to take. It's the trades that I took this morning. So let's say 1200 quantity or 1800 quantity. I decide that purely based on the risk that I am going to take in that particular trade. So that is the rule number 1. So if the risk goes higher, my position size has to go down so that if the risk materializes and I have to incur a loss, I will be incurring a loss on a smaller capital. Now there are several factors that impact the risk. So the choice of instrument, for example, the risk of selling options is much higher than, let's say, risk of buying options, or the risk can be based on the choice of stock that you have picked. So Adani Enterprise, for example, probably will have a much higher risk than, let's say, Reliance, right? So the type of stock also can dictate the amount of risk that we are taking. And there are at least 20 factors out there that determine the risk that I am going to take in every trade. And tracking these 20 factors is not always an easy job. So what I've done is we have automated some of these using AmiBroker. So we have built some logic and we're still working on this right now to make sure that at least 70 to 80% of that analysis is already done by AmiBroker, and it gives us that recommendation. And based on that, we see, okay, what is the risk profile of this particular trade? If the trade happens to be a very risky trade, of course, we will not even take the trade. But if the risk profile is, let's say, medium, we will go with, let's say, half the position size. But if the risk profile is low, then we can even go full or even more than that. So depending on the risk profile of the trade, the choice of instrument, the type of stock, and the time of entry, and there are other factors that we have to think about. Based on all that factors, I decide whether I want to go with full position size, half position size, or not trade at all. Now my second rule, which again is a little subjective for me, is that position size is directly proportional to the conviction. So what is conviction? Means how much conviction do I have in that particular trade? So if I have a very high conviction, I will go with my full position size. If I have a medium conviction, then I will go probably with half the position size or 1/3 the position size. And if I have a very low conviction, of course, I will not take the trade. So today, for example, I took a long trade on Nifty right in the morning, right? So I took a long trade within 5 minutes of the market opening. By shorting a put option, I basically took a long position on Nifty, which of course made me some money. And because I had a very high conviction on this particular trade, I almost went with my full position size, not quite, but almost, I probably would have added another 600 or maybe 1200 quantity. But at that point of time, the market had just opened and it was a little too soon for me to add the position. So I took a trade based on the conviction, and the conviction in this trade was high enough for me to warrant a decent position size. Now there is one little problem with conviction, right? Conviction is subjective. And whenever things become subjective, it becomes very hard for us to measure that and of course act on that, right? So conviction is something which also comes from experience. So what I did was I took a long trade this morning somewhere around here, and I exited here. Based on my conviction, I took a trade here, and somewhere around 10 o'clock, I exited the trade before the market came down, right? So that time the conviction helped me. So 950 I exited this trade because at that point of time my conviction was low that this market will give me any follow through at that point of time, so I exited. But this conviction which helped me made 60,000 rupees also deceived me a little bit in the subsequent trade. So I took another long trade on Bank Nifty by shorting a put option at 173 rupees, which eventually came down to 92 rupees, right? So I shorted it somewhere around here. It basically came down another 100 points. So in this trade, I probably would have made at least 50,000 rupees, but I came out with hardly 2,000 or 3,000 rupees. So conviction is not something which you can measure, right? So even though I'm sharing with you that there is a high conviction or low conviction, you should be looking for ways to automate or make these rules a little bit more objective so that you are not relying purely on your conviction. So as you can see that even I'm struggling with this aspect, I need to work a little bit more so that when the market gives me these kind of opportunities, right? So Bank Nifty, the way it moved today, I took a long trade somewhere around here and I missed this rally. I took a long trade at a perfect time. There was absolutely no problem with this trade, but because the conviction was a little bit shaky at that point of time for a number of other reasons, I exited the trade. So conviction, even though it sounds good, but in reality, conviction has both sides. It will help you, come out of a bad trade, and of course, it will help you stay profitable. But sometimes it can also prevent you from staying in profitable trades a little longer. So try to look for more objective rules by which you can measure the level of conviction that you should be having in that particular trade. Now my last point here is that position size can be staggered during the entries and exits. So basically what that means is that, let's say for example in this particular trade, I took a trade with 1800 quantity. I don't need to enter or exit 1800 quantity at the same time. What I can do is I can start with a smaller quantity, and if the trade starts to work in my favor, then I can add more to the trade, right? So that is exactly what I did here. So I took a trade with 1200 quantity, but the market was moving very quickly. So I basically had to add another 600 very quickly. But usually what I do is that I will slowly add to the position as the level of conviction in the trade goes higher and higher. And same is the case with exit. So here my quantity was 1800, but I did not exit 1800 in one shot. So at 945, I exited with 600 quantity. I booked my profit. At 950, that is 5 minutes after that, I booked another 600. After that, I booked another 600 quantity. So by staggering your entries and exit in partial quantities, you can control the size of the position that you're taking, and you will have more time to decide whether the trade is worth sticking around into or not. So guys, that is what the essence of position sizing is. You need to size your positions based on risk, based on your conviction, and there are many other factors that you have to keep in mind. So this is basically science, right? The sizing your position is basically a science. You need to learn each and every aspect of how positions need to be sized. And if you do that, trust me, even if you have an accuracy rate of let's say 50% in your trades, you can still end up being profitable just using this secret weapon. So guys, as I said, this is a very vast topic. If you guys want to learn more about this, I will be more than happy to share that with you, but I want to see how many of you are actually serious, because I know that this is not that spicy kind of a topic that people are very much interested into. This is kind of a boring topic, but then trust me, money is made by these boring topics. So if you don't mind getting bored, if you are really serious about learning position sizing, let us know by liking this video so that we continue our effort in educating our fellow traders.